right. I guess I'll screen share once I'm done adding my cards.
Retro
Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter.
ending 824.
There we go. All right. Guess we're just waiting on Mike and Nick. Although Nick, your little circle didn't pop up when you
Well,
voted.
I'm in there pressing the like buttons and junk.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess let me know when you're done.
All right. This is wait, am I in there? Maybe I'm in the wrong one. Volt sprint ending 8.24.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see anybody else in my sprint either.
Okay, maybe you are in the wrong one.
It says hosted by Andrew Gunzel, though.
Oh, weird.
I'm making Jose the host. If you
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now Jose is the host.
wait, that actually worked for yours?
Yeah.
Huh.
Worked for me.
How come I can't see anything then?
All right. Jose's the host. I'll sit back. Go for it, Jose.
Yeah. Let me refresh the thing.
Oh, now
There's
you're there.
everybody's little icon. Now I see it. Just needed a refresh.
All right. I've marked myself as done. Oh, now I'm the host again. Damn.
Huh. Curious.
Jose sent me back. I don't think he wants to be the host.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, you know, I just had the past week and a half off. I don't think.
I mean, what better way to host a retro than?
Yeah, but not knowing anything about it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Button pressed.
All right. Let's we can advance to grouping. Dun, 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 dun. Why is this not? There we go. Right. I'll advance to team voting. So really, I just grouped the profile stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's about right. I mean, there was this other planning for user dash profile they could probably get in there.
Yeah, maybe.
But I can't group anymore because we're in voting now, so I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I will. All right. I use all my votes.
All right, voting complete.
All right, looks like we're all done. All right, discussion. What went well? Profile. Keegan, you want to talk about profile and how you felt about that, and since you were the main one to write it?
Yeah, so it's out in the wild, which is cool. So like the blog posts that other people have posted that use it, It also has all of the embed support. So it supports OEmbed and Twitter cards and Slack unfurling. So we're gonna. I don't know if Jeff did it already, but we're gonna submit it to Embedly, and then we can start embedding it in like Medium articles and things like that around the internet. So that's pretty cool. And it was definitely done pretty quickly, which always feels good that we could get that out quickly and start using it.
Love it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add about it? I thought it was really cool that it just kind of worked for the Pulumi blog. So that was awesome.
That was pretty neat. On the Pulumi blog, it was like you could just like click in there and do the stuff on those little cards. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it just kind of worked.
Yeah,
you didn't really
that
have
was
to
really
tell her anything or anything.
slick. I loved it.
Yep.
All right. What could be improved? Planning sprints seems mostly useless. There's new priorities constantly. I'm the one who wrote this.
Isn't that just how sprints work? That's just the point of sprints.
I mean, I think we are doing sprints so we can use our sprint tools, right? Like retro and planning. But man, it does feel kind of silly when you look at what you did in the sprint and then you look at what you were supposed to do, and they're two completely different things.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Maybe we should make shorter sprints. What if we did like 4-day sprints or something, or like 3-day sprints?
Yeah, I mean, we could do 5-day sprints for something like right after the prioritization meeting on Monday, and then just do a sprint for that week. That would be probably less ridiculous. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or we just keep doing what we're doing. Does anybody have any complaints with how much work we're getting done? I mean, I feel like I'm constantly doing stuff, and it's probably always the right stuff. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem with how we're doing things, as long as we keep in mind that we're not actually respecting the rules of sprints.
Right.
I mean, the only problem I have is the sprints are stupid. So.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, vacation. Who wants to talk about vacation? There was a good amount of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was me. I just had a really awesome week on Lake Norman here in North Carolina, and just taking the boat out and not thinking about much of anything. So it was a really nice hard reset.
Nice.
I saw
What kind of boat? What kind of boat do you take out?
We rented a like a 16-foot like pontoon boat.
Ah, nice. A party boat. A party boat.
Yeah, we're taking the family out. Good for water activities. A little bit of water skiing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Zane, you want to talk about your vacation?
I saw Mars rocket. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. That flying water tank.
Yeah. It's honestly not that big in person. It's smaller than I thought it would be up that close.
Oh yeah. How tall is the thing actually?
That's a good question. 160 feet.
And that's smaller than you thought it would be.
Yeah. It's 30-foot diameter. So.
That is actually pretty narrow, isn't it? For
Yeah.
160 feet. That's like 15 stories or something? 12 stories?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But to go to Mars, that's a long trip with a lot of people. So you would think it would be bigger than that, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling they're not going to stuff the 100 people they claim into that for 6 months.
Yeah. Ditto.
It's an awfully long time to be essentially stuck in a bunk bed.
Yeah, that's how you get murders. All right. Cool. All right, let's get back to other things. Well, got to do some knowledge sharing on retros, so hopefully others can start taking tickets. Keegan?
Yeah, just a little bit of good news. I was able to go over with Chris and Rick a bit about how bit about how all the retros work, some of the like important like caveats and things to keep in mind while they're working on it. So hopefully they can start working on tickets, because I know there's been a couple that have been sitting in our sprint for a couple sprints now that just haven't gotten dealt with yet.
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, as teams we could do a bit better of a job on is sharing that knowledge, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we have some pretty serious silos of things that people know that we need to do a better job of sharing.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Does anybody have any ideas of good ways we can sort of do that a little bit better? That way we don't have the what happens if someone gets hit by a bus problem.
I mean, I think the biggest problem with like my example, like with retros and planning and like the silos there, is just that it was such a complicated feature that I built fairly quickly. Like I think going forward, a lot of stuff that we do, as long as we're vigilant about like breaking it up into small parts and making spreading around the information, it'll help us not get into that problem. Like if retros was built and maintained over like the last 6 months, I think the knowledge would have been shared a little bit more. So going forward, like with things like retros, I think it's actually going to just get better automatically as we kind of slow down and start maintaining it as a real feature instead of a quick and dirty MVP.
That makes sense. Does any do any of the guilds do like code review or like design discussions or anything like that? Maybe that would be a good sort of place to do that sort of knowledge sharing, right?
Yeah, you know what? Design discussions would be super interesting. I mean, that's something I might tune in even outside of my particular guild, just out of curiosity.
Well, you are more than free to join any of our guild meetings and listen in.
Yeah, I mean, the guild meetings are like okay, but like a specific design discussion, I guess, would be more interesting than like the general business of the guild, right?
Well, in the data engineering one, we do a good amount of design discussions, which is a lot of times just kind of Jeff talking about some of his things that he's working on, but every once in a while we'll have other people sort of pipe up.
I might tune in then and just ignore most of it and just listen to the parts that I want. It seems like
Sounds
a thing
good.
to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're more than invited. You can join all the guild meetings. The platform guild would love more guild people.
Actually, I'm super curious about that stuff, so yeah, maybe I will. Well, that platform stuff is so interesting.
Well, this would be good. So yeah, hopefully we can start sharing some more knowledge going forward. Another thing that went well, Pulumi blog was released and they used our profile cards. Mike and I wrote a blog for Pulumi. I think it got tens of views. And
but hey, it's there.
It's there
forever. I mean,
and it has our faces on it.
Yep. And didn't we get
a
new sign up from it?
Oh yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I think somebody pointed that out in the customer channel. It's like, yeah, we got this from the Blooming article. So
yeah, I went back through their old blog archives and I found that there weren't very many customers that had written blogs prior to us. So we're some of the first. I think there was maybe one or two others that had written technical articles, but ours was obviously better in every way. But it's good to have that there, and hopefully maybe it'll direct more traffic our way.
Eventually. So I guess that's one of the things that we sort of as a team can try to do is make sure we blog as much as we have useful things to say. I know that Scott has mentioned that Christy is really, really good at taking even like a Google Doc that doesn't really have much to it, other than like here's some content, here's some ideas, and turning that into a full-fledged blog. So you don't have the time to make like an actual fully fleshed out blog, you could just write some ideas down, and Chrissy can turn that into a real thing. That's probably not a terrible idea. If anybody has any things that they want to sort of record and pass along, and see what she could do with it.
Cool.
All right. We got metrics enabled for graph and event APIs. So event API actually already had metrics built in. They just weren't enabled. So I just had to add a service monitor to it, and Prometheus was able to scrape it. Graph required, I don't know, like 4 lines of code to pull in a plugin and add it to our Apollo server. And now we get like truly a ridiculous amount of metrics from Graph API about timings and parents and types and all sorts of things. So I'm working on the best way to turn that into a dashboard, because it is just a truly tremendous amount of data. So I'm working on that. It's tough. Does anybody have any questions about either of those two things?
I mean, I'm sort of curious if it wouldn't make sense to try to stuff that into our like actual normal data science pipeline, just to keep it. I mean, because it sounds like data science, right? You get a bunch of data, you want to do some things with it. If it wouldn't make sense to try to keep that consistent with the way we handle the rest of the data. I don't know. It is a different kind of data, so I'm not sure if it actually does make sense. But
yeah, this is operational data, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull it up real quick, and we can graph. Right, here's an example getting returned from one of our graph endpoints. Right, you can see it gives us the number of queries that were parsed, and then the validations that were started, and then how many errored. Right, that's pretty helpful. But then here's like the timing parts.
Yeah.
Right? And we can just like, it just keeps going.
Oof.
Right. Oh man,
Yeah.
just keeps going.
Yeah, it's such an interesting sort of thing. I wonder if it makes sense to like build like out a data model for this, and then we could just query the stuff we need out of GraphQL, and then maybe it does, maybe it doesn't as a first pass. I don't know.
I mean, you can query it out of Prometheus, right?
I guess that's a good point.
I mean, that's sort of what I'm doing with, like, it's still gone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with Grafana, right? Is I write the Prometheus queries, and it sort of turns it into a dashboard with whatever I need it to look like. The hard part is writing the query, right? Because there's so many labels on all this, right? And like aggregating, it's kind of a pain, but for the most part, I guess, kind of eventually it gets there.
Man.
So anyway, there we go. That's what I've been working on. We're gonna be approved. There's a lot of moving parts to make a new DS feature.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is Nick.
That is me.
Okay.
So like, I was building the like language profile. I'm like, oh, this shouldn't be hard. It's not a complicated calculation. It should just be real quick. But like, the Project Lego stuff it's super handy, I think, and it's like it's a good way to look at it. But I think it needs a little more polish. Maybe I'll spend a little time. I mean, tomorrow's our like hit list. I don't know if there's like anything actually on the hit list I should look at it for me, but maybe I'll spend a little time trying to think of a way to sort of genericize certain parts of it, so that like, because as it stands, you got to go into like 4 or 5 different files and change names here and copy bits from there and like write new stuff there, and it feels just a little bit unnecessarily complicated still.
I gotcha. Maybe the solution is to write like a CLI to generate a lot of that, right?
Yeah, I think maybe that's it.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can look into that.
Yeah, something to think about.
What went well? Made a new DS feature.
Oh man, I wonder who posted
Wow,
that.
back to back.
Yeah, yeah. I think I put one vote on each of those. I actually don't know how it prioritizes, probably alphabetically or something. Um, yeah, yeah, so I made it. It's in the new style, so which is pretty cool and has advantages, even if it needs a little more polish. I think it's still better than what we were doing before. So, pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about what your feature is?
Oh, it's just a language profile. So each user will get like a list of the languages, and it's just based on number of commits. I did like percentage of commits. So like in the last year, it'll be a list of languages, and then the percentage of your commits done in a repo whose main language is that. We don't have a real good way of figuring out the language of a commit right now.
Right.
Or even the size of a commit right now. So it's literally just number of commits in a repo with that language as the like language of the repo. So it's not great, but I think it's probably fine for now.
Right. Yeah, because I'm sure most of my commits are actually like playing around with the YAML for like how to deploy a lot of our services, but then the service would be listed as like Go. You're like, well, maybe I didn't really do much Go code though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if I don't know. That's the trouble is we're basically to get any language at all. I think I'm basically just stuck on the language of the repo, and so even if I did pull requests instead, or like some other, I guess that's basically the only other thing I could do. I don't know. Then it's still the same problem.
Yeah, unless you start like, parsing the code and figuring out like what it says.
Which I think we're generally not going to do, at least in the very first, in the foreseeable future. I mean, we used to do that kind of stuff, right? But it's real slow. It just takes up forever in the pipeline. So
yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing you could do, right, is look at the extensions on the files in the commits.
Yeah.
But I mean, we would have to actually pull that information.
Right, which we don't. So
right, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, I brought it up in the data engineering channel, and like Robin and Jeff, like they're thinking about it or something. I don't know, I forget. But
yeah.
So for now, we'll just have to make do. But I mean, if you're I think right now the main use for it is the sort of blog recommender, right? So you just know like which feeds to show people, and I think it's probably good enough for that.
Right. Okay. And I guess lastly, planning for user dashboard and profile, I think went well. I wrote this one. Does anybody agree or disagree? I think we did better with this than we did with, sprint retro and sprint planning features, because
I definitely agree on that.
Very haphazard.
This definitely felt like we actually sat down and had basically everybody come in and do a planning meeting and be like, okay, these are the things we're going to do. Actually, I did like the big brainstorming document where like, we had maybe a week and a half or something, or 2 weeks to just go in and throw random ideas as they occurred down. And then to like go back through later and be like, okay, let's do this one. Let's not do this one. Let's go do this one. Let's add this way and not this one. That did seem pretty effective.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And then going through that list and figuring out what we would do for an MVP, I thought was a useful exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know necessarily how much we're holding to sort of what we originally planned on. I mean, Matt, Keegan, how do you think we're doing with that?
I mean, the profile is pretty much exactly what we planned. As far as I know, the user dashboard I think is also, but I haven't made nearly as much progress on that yet as with the profile to say for sure. I will say though about planning, I kind of wish I had thought to talk to like Robin and them about some of this data before getting started, because I found out that our data model doesn't support querying like pull requests that you're requested on. So now, so like they're working on it, but I wish I had known that earlier rather than once I started on the screen. So that's something to keep in mind. I should probably reach out to them about, Robin and Jeff, about some of this data stuff, since they're the experts on certain things that we can and can't do.
Yeah.
Right.
I do sort of wonder, in relation to the thing you were just talking about, like how long are we going to keep like 2 full stack teams and 1 like full pipeline team? Are we ever going to like switch back to 3 full stack teams, or what the plan is?
Yeah, I think the plan is once the new agent is released, would be to sort of disperse that back out.
Okay, because that would help with that, right? Like if they were actually on our team, then like you'd have to set up a separate meeting to go and talk to them about the things you were planning to do. They would just be in there the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we would have a data engineer that knows a lot about the agent and the pipelines on each team, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I guess last but not least, we have some sprint ratings to talk about. Everybody seems like, pretty good. I don't see any real red. And the averages are pretty high. Does anybody have anything they want to address in terms of this?
I mean, I really enjoyed the workload. I mean, you guys know I like to have lots of things to work on. So I enjoyed this sprint. I pretty much always had clear tasks, and I was never sort of like fishing for stuff to work on, which always feels good.
That is good. Yeah, I would say my workload was pretty heavy, but ultimately manageable. Yeah, so all in all, I'd say this is pretty good 2 weeks. I don't know if we can call it a sprint, but a pretty good 2 weeks. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about or mention? All right. Well, we'll keep on doing what we're doing. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. I will complete this retro. Are there any action items that anybody can think of? I don't think so.
No, nothing came up.
Okay. Cool. Close it down. All right. All right. Well, I mean, I guess that's all I have. Is there anything that we want to talk about, or anything that anybody wants me to make sure I bring up in the prioritization planning meeting in 30 minutes?
Just FYI, Jeff mentioned maybe me working on some community profile page or something like that once I got back from vacation. I don't have any insight into exactly what he wants,
Okay.
but I assume that that's probably where I'm going to be for the next week.
Okay. How are you feeling with the design for the dev dashboard? Does that sound like in a good place for our MVP?
I mean, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything otherwise. So.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah, and I have the developer dashboard all in code now. Just working on wiring up the different little components.
Oh, nice. That's
Cool.
great.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
I have like the middle section all wired up, like things that all like the work, all the issues and pull requests, except for things that they're waiting on you to approve, and I'm working on calendars right now, so making progress.
okay. I should have a data model for you for the content part shortly, right? I'm just sort of working through what we would want to include in like an unfurling. So, yep. Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, have a good rest of your day, and I guess we'll talk for sprint planning in a few hours.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
See you
Bye.
guys.
See you guys.